Okay, so there's two types of glands, endocrine and exocrine. And we talked about glands before because they are epithelial tissue. Usually they are simple cuboidal or stratified cuboidal. So the endocrine glands come from the endocrine system, and they secrete hormones throughout the body. They call the fluid, you don't need to know that, but they call the fluid that they secrete the hormones into interstitial fluid. I think they secrete it into the bloodstream for the most part. There are no ducts involved in endocrine glands, whereas in exocrine glands they have ducts.
Is that like the center circle?
Yeah, that center circle would be that duct in it. I'll explain it there. So the exocrine glands, instead of releasing hormones, we call their products secretions. And they secrete their products onto epithelial surfaces, like sweat onto the surface of the skin. Same thing with oil. And they have ducts. So you might have this sweat gland under the skin, and it would release the sweat through that duct onto the surface of the skin.
So we have to know into and.
There are three types of secretions for those exocrine glands: merocrine, apocrine, and holocrine secretions. So we'll look for the rest of the period pretty much comparing and contrasting these three types of secretions. So the Golgi apparatus, or the Golgi body, plays a role, especially I think merocrine and apocrine secretions. That's where the product, the sweat or the milk in these two cases, are produced is in the Golgi body. And if you recall, the Golgi body packages up its contents into the vesicles. Maybe I can draw. So this might be like your Golgi body, and it will basically bubble off the packages into these vesicles. And in this case, those vesicles are going to contain, in this example, sweat. And then it's going to release those vesicles out of the cell through exocytosis. And that the vesicles are wrapped with the phospholipid bilayer, just like the cell membrane, so it becomes one with the cell membrane and it just releases it out. So those vesicles just basically go through the cell membrane and release the sweat out of this cell. And in this case, it goes into the duct, and then it goes to the surface of the skin. And in the case with mammary glands that produce milk, the milk is produced by the Golgi body too, but the entire cytoplasm in the cells gets shed and released into the duct. So the breast milk is actually cytoplasm from the mammary glands, and the cytoplasm travels through the duct for feeding purposes. And then the other example is holocrine secretion. And the example they have is sebaceous glands, which is oil production on your skin, sebum. And so in that case, the entire sebaceous gland bursts, and that the remnants of that cell travel through the sebaceous duct onto the surface of the skin or the hair shaft. So sebum, or oil, is the entire cell that got burst.
Hi, Trey.
I think this slide is showing you salivary gland. I know they show hair for sebaceous and mammary. But for the American secretion, another example would be salivary gland. And they show in this picture in purple here is the Golgi bodies, and then those purple dots there are the vesicles. And you can see on the top, the vesicles are releasing their product through the cell membrane. And so in this case, the product would be saliva. So there's the saliva coming out of those cells right there, and it's going to go into a duct and into the mouth. On this slide, they show you the apocrine example with the mammary gland. It says apocrine secretion involves the loss of apical cytoplasm. You guys remember apical means the top, the surface. Inclusions, secretory vesicles, and other cytoplasmic components are shed in the process. The gland cell then grows and repairs itself before it releases additional secretions. So it breaks down that cytoplasm, releases that into the duct, and then it just regenerates that cytoplasm again. So the Golgi body or Golgi apparatus is still making the milk, but the entire cytoplasm gets shed in the process. The final example was the holocrine secretion. Now you see like a lot of layers of the cells here. This occurs when superficial gland cells burst. Continued secretion involves the replacement of the cells through mitosis of the underlying stem cells. So in this case, it's the sebaceous gland. They're showing down here at the root of the hair follicle. And so the sebum is the entire cell bursting and going through that duct up to the surface of the skin by the hair shaft. And so those cells just get replaced then through mitosis.